He was supposed to propose in front of everyone. The lights were ready. The cameras were rolling. I was in the dress we picked together. But when he finally walked in, it was holding the hand of his ex. And when she kissed him in front of 200 guests, I didn't cry. I walked. And behind me, the wrong brother followed. They told me I looked like a dream. But I felt more like a finish line. Arya, Sarah whispered, adjusting my necklace as I stepped into the grand mirrored hallway. You're going to stop hearts tonight. They can survive a flutter, I said. I'm after full paralysis. She laughed. Good. Because you look like you swallowed stardust and turned it into velvet. I did. The dress, ivory silk and hand-beaded tulle, hugged my frame like it was stitched from promises. Hair swept up. Heels high. A soft gold shimmer dusted across my collarbone. Not too bridal but just enough to whisper I do before the ring arrived. The ballroom doors opened. Gasps. Flashes. Every camera turned. The Harrington Grand Ballroom shimmered in chandeliers and applause. Industry elites, family friends, global partners, all watching me descend the steps like I belonged to mythology. Damian Harrington stood near the raised stage. His glass paused midair. Even he looked stunned. Our eyes met. Just briefly. And in his face, nothing soft. Nothing romantic. But there was something sharp. Like admiration cloaked in calculation. My friends gathered around me as the music softened and the MC tapped the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention? Where's he? I leaned toward Zara. Where's Cole? He looked around. He was right here. 5 minutes ago. He went to take a call. But the program's starting, I whispered. He's supposed to be on stage by now. We were meant to do the announcement together. I'll check, she said, moving toward the wing. I scanned the ballroom. Guests were already whispering. Is he late? Maybe he's surprising her? Dramatic entrances run in the family. Even the musicians glanced toward the stage, unsure whether to keep playing. I looked at Damian. He lifted one brow, not mockingly but with a silent question. Do you want me to do something? I shook my head slightly. No, not yet. Then, a ripple in the crowd. He appeared. Cool. Finally. The relief was so sudden it almost knocked the air from my lungs. There he is, someone said. Of course he wouldn't miss this. The groom has arrived. The crowd parted instinctively as he walked toward the stage, toward me. He smiled. I exhaled. Until the murmurs shifted. A gasp. Then, oh my God, who's that behind him? And I saw her. A red gown that clung to every curve. Hair styled in loose, deliberate chaos. Lips too red to be accidental. Lila Monroe. His ex. The one who left him. The one who haunted his stories. The one I was supposed to be nothing like. She reached him before he got to the stage. Cole, she called softly. He paused. Right there, 10 feet from me. Cole, please. She touched his arm. The crowd froze. I froze. He didn't shake her off. She took his hand. And then she said it. Clear. Loud. For everyone to hear. I still love you. My blood went cold. No one moved. No one breathed. I felt Zara grip my arm behind me, but it was distant. Like I'd left my body behind in that dress and drifted somewhere above the chandelier. Don't do this, Cole muttered. But he didn't move. Just listen, Lila said. I know I left. I know it's late. But you don't love her. Not like you loved me. Whispers turned into thunder. Someone fumbled their wine glass. Chattered. And then she kissed him. Right there. In front of everyone. On my engagement night. The cameras caught it. The air cracked like glass. And I stood there. So, crowned in silence. No one moved. No one stopped her. Not even him. I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. I simply tilted my head and let the silence speak louder than I ever could. Cole finally stepped back, eyes wide, panic rising. Arya, wait, I didn't. You didn't stop it, I said, my voice even. It wasn't what it looked like. As she kissed me. I didn't respond. Funny, I said. Your lips didn't get that memo. Guests were watching. Phones were filming. Some people looked away out of pity. Others didn't even try to hide their glee. I looked at Lila then. She didn't even look guilty. Just victorious. I took a slow breath and stepped away from both of them. Arya, please. Don't beg, I said quietly. Not when you already chose. I didn't choose anything. This wasn't planned. She just. You know what hurts more than being dumped, Cole? I asked, keeping my voice soft. Being dumped accidentally. Like I was never even part of the script. That's not true. I smiled, then turned to face the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, projecting now, I believe the show is over. I apologize for the interruption. Someone clapped. I think it was Damian. Cole reached out to touch my arm. I moved away before he could. I walked past the tables, past the stairs, past the cameras. My heels clicked rhythmically against the marble floor. And as I reached the exit, the pianist, bless him, began playing again. Same song. La Vie en Rose. How ironic. Outside the night was cold. Sharp wind kissed my shoulders, but I didn't shiver. I stood on the steps of the Harrington estate and looked up at the sky. Somewhere inside, Cole was probably stumbling through apologies. Lila would be pretending to be overwhelmed. And everyone else? Feasting on the drama. Miss Bennet. A voice came from behind. I turned. It was Damian. You didn't have to follow me, I said. I didn't. He adjusted his cufflinks. I needed fresh air. I gave him a sideways look. Coincidence, then? Let's call it damage control. I raised a brow. You handled it well, he added. Wouldn't want the press to say I cried. He looked at me for a moment, then said, You know he was never ready for you. I didn't answer. You made him look like a man. But some suits are too heavy to wear. He looked just fine wearing my loyalty. Damian nodded. That was never the problem. He stepped beside me, hands in his pockets. You can scream if you want. No one's around. I shook my head. Screaming's too generous. And him? What about him? Will you forgive him? I looked straight ahead. He didn't forget our anniversary. He forgot I was real. The silence lingered. Then I took one final breath and turned. I'm not going back in. I assumed as much. Can you handle the fallout? Damian smirked faintly. Please. I've been handling Cole since birth. He opened the car door for me. I stepped in without another word. And that was the end. Of the engagement that was never really mine. Of the man who kissed the past while holding my future. Of pretending that loyalty guaranteed love. Because now I'd be the one writing the story. And the next headline would start with my name, not his. Here is the continuation, strictly aligned with the outline. We now begin. The morning after your engagement party implodes on camera, you don't wake up slowly. You jolt. Like a fire alarm went off in your bloodstream. I didn't bother to check my phone at first. I already knew what I'd see. Headlines, betrayal montages, maybe a few split screens comparing Lila's smug red dress to my stunned black gown. Instead, I stared at the ceiling. Then I got up and made coffee. But bitter. No sugar. Felt appropriate. My phone buzzed just as the first sip burned my throat. Cole 9 missed calls. Messages. 15 unread. I tapped the latest one. Just to read it. Just to confirm he was still pretending this was salvageable. Arya, please just talk to me. You know I never meant for this to happen. I was blindsided. She showed up out of nowhere. You were the one I wanted. Please don't throw everything away over one mistake. One mistake. Right. The kiss was one thing. But the pause, that full second where he leaned in, eyes half shut, the world spinning around them, that wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. I set the phone down. The doorbell rang. I frowned and opened the door to find Zara, my best friend and PR manager, standing there in oversized sunglasses and a messy bun. She held up a bag from our favorite bakery and kicked the door shut behind her. You're everywhere, she said, dropping the bag on the kitchen counter. Daily Gazette, hello. Online, and she opened her phone. Oh look, BuzzFeed ran a poll. Who deserved better, Arya or Lila? You're winning by 78%. Great. Internet pity. No. Internet rage. Women are furious. You're a meme now. I groaned. He grinned. Me after watching Arya get humiliated in Valentino while her fiancé melts into a Dollar Tree discount version of Jessica Rabbit. That's the caption. Over a clip of you walking out. I cracked a smile. I guess I did look expensive. Very. And you didn't even trip. Iconic. I poured her coffee. What's the damage? Cole's team is silent. No statement. Lila posted a photo this morning of the dress she wore last night with the caption, "Still fits." My jaw clenched. Of course she did. Don't worry. She's trending, under #homewrecker in red. Zara sipped her coffee. Now here's the fun part. Damian called me. I blinked. Damian. Yes. Very clipped. Very Harrington. Wants you to issue a statement. His exact words were, something clean. Powerful. A blade wrapped in velvet. That sounds like something you'd say. I know, right? We're kindred spirits. I hesitated. What do you think? Zara shrugged. If you stay silent, they'll fill in your silence with their noise. But if you speak now with elegance and poison, you own it. I nodded slowly, then went to my study, sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. And I wrote. The statement went live 2 hours later. While the events at last night's celebration were unexpected, I remain proud of what I've built alongside the Harrington name. I carry no bitterness, only clarity. For those asking, I didn't lose anything. I simply let go of what wasn't holding me back anymore. To Cole and Lila, I wish nothing but the peace that comes with honesty. This chapter closes with dignity. Aria Bennett. The internet didn't just clap. It exploded. Influencers reposted it. Fashion editors quoted it. A columnist even called it a masterclass in emotional eloquence. Cole finally messaged again. You could have warned me you'd torch me like that. I didn't respond. That afternoon, Zara and I sat in my office as the sunlight slanted across the hardwood floor. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I picked up out of pure boredom. Aria Bennett, I answered coolly. Elegant and terrifying, the voice said. I expected nothing less. Damian. You always did know which blade to draw. And you always knew how to stand just far enough back to watch someone else bleed. He paused. He's your mess to walk away from. But ours to clean. I'm not coming back, I said plainly. I didn't ask you to. I asked you to speak. You did. There was a silence. Then he added, thank you. Don't thank me, I replied. You got off easy. There was a slight chuckle so faint I almost missed it. I've sent something over, he said. A small gesture. Before I could reply, he ended the call. 5 minutes later, a courier arrived with a black box. Inside, a Mont Blanc pen, deep plum with gold accents, engraved with my name. Zara leaned over my shoulder. Damn. That's not a thank you. That's a come back and burn the rest of them gift. I'm not taking the bait. You don't have to. You've already started the fire. Later that night, I finally opened my social media. Mentions everywhere. DMs flooded. And one photo had gone viral. Me walking out of the ballroom. Back straight. Shoulders bare. Eyes forward. Behind me, Damian just a few steps away, face unreadable. Caption read. The man who watched her walk away and didn't let her fall. I stared at it for a long time. Not because of what it said. But because I couldn't tell if it was true. At midnight, Cole showed up at my door. Of course he did. I didn't answer. But I watched from the upstairs window as he stood there. Tie undone, hands in his pockets, looking more like a confused teenager than the man I was supposed to marry. He stood there for almost 15 minutes. Then left. Zara texted from downstairs. Want me to throw eggs at him? I'm not above it. I smiled at my screen, then typed back. Oh, he's already cracked. The next morning, Damian called again. This time I let it ring. Because dignity is a strange thing. You think it means rising above. But sometimes it means knowing exactly who doesn't deserve a reply. The first thing I did Monday morning? Walked into Harrington and Lyon wearing the same heels I wore when Cole introduced me as his fiancée. No ring. No smile. Just my ID badge and a black suit sharp enough to slice through whispers. Miss Bennett, the front desk girl stammered. We didn't know you'd be in today. I still manage the brand partnerships division, I said calmly, pressing my badge to the elevator. Until someone tells me otherwise, I have work to do. Inside the elevator, I caught my reflection. Polished. Taken. A walking contradiction to every tabloid headline screaming heartbreak. But the second I stepped into the 17th floor, the silence swallowed me whole. People froze. Someone dropped a pen. And then clicks. Slack messages. Subtle turns of heads. I saw them. Felt them. Especially Cole's assistant Lindsay, who always wore too much perfume and not enough loyalty. I passed her desk. She didn't look up. "Morning, Lindsay." Her jaw flexed. "Good morning, Miss Bennett." I opened my office door. Same room. Same view. But something had shifted. I wasn't here to be anyone's partner anymore. I was the threat they forgot to lock the door against. "Your inbox is a mess," Zara muttered, throwing herself into the chair across from my desk. "Also, Lila just posted something." I arched an eyebrow. "Let me guess. A quote about finding your way back to true love?" "Close. It's a photo of her in a white silk robe." "Your robe." I froze. She captioned it, "He kept all my things." My fingers twitched. "She's trying to get under your skin." "No," I said. "She's trying to get attention." I reached into my drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was the watch I had custom designed for Cole's birthday, platinum casing and engraving on the back. "For the time you stole and the time I gave." "He never wore it." Zara blinked. "You're not giving that to him, are you?" "No," I said coolly. "I'm auctioning it." That night I called a friend at the Metropolitan Women's Charity. "I have a donation," I told her. "Anonymous. A limited edition Vacheron Constantine." She gasped. "Arya, that's worth. It'll cover 5 scholarships, won't it?" "Easily. And one more thing," I added. "List it under Lila's name." Pause. Then laughter. "You're dangerous." "No," I said. "I'm efficient." By the next morning social media was buzzing. Lila Monroe donates $50,000 luxury watch to Women's Education Fund. Lila's rebrand? Classy or calculated? Lila's PR team scrambled to issue a correction. But it was too late. I'd handed her charity and she choked on the narrative. That afternoon Cole texted me. "Did you really donate that watch?" I didn't reply. 2 minutes later. "Did you seriously put it under her name?" Still nothing. 3 minutes after that. "I'm not sure what you're trying to do, but this isn't you." I stared at that message. "This isn't you." As if he ever paid attention long enough to know what I was. By Wednesday my name was quietly reinstated on all pending contracts. 2 clients who had ghosted me since the scandal suddenly wanted meetings. And Damian. He sent flowers. White peonies. No note. Zara leaned over the arrangement on my desk. "This man sends silent gestures like he's writing poetry in Morse code." "I don't speak flower." "You don't have to. Your walk says everything." Thursday evening I stepped out of the office and bumped into Cole near the elevators. Of course. He looked tired. The perfect 5 o'clock shadow, undone collar. His charm now looked like desperation dressed in Hugo Boss. "Hey," he said. "Cole." He scratched the back of his neck. "You've been busy." "I work here." "Shocking, I know." "You've made your point," he said. "What point is that?" "That you're hurt." I smiled. "I'm not hurt. I'm healing." Loudly. He stepped closer. "Can we just talk?" "No. It's just a conversation." "No," I repeated evenly. He blinked. "I just want to explain. Explain how you paused. Or how you panicked. Or how you handed me to the wolves, then blamed the moon for your weakness." He exhaled. "You sound rehearsed." "I had a lot of time to practice while you kissed your ex at my engagement party." His jaw tightened. "You've changed." "No," I said. "You just didn't look closely the first time." Back in my office, Zara stared at me like I'd grown wings. "Did you just crush him in 4 sentences?" I shrugged. "He underestimated the wrong woman." That weekend I sent a message to Damian. Just 4 words. "You still watching quietly?" He replied instantly. "Boys. Shall I offer commentary or applause?" I smiled. "Neither. Just silence." "I'm working." Monday morning I walked into my office and found a note slipped under the door. No envelope. Just a single piece of cardstock. "Next time you dismantle someone, leave something for the press to mop up." I folded it once. Slipped it into my drawer. And opened my laptop. Because this wasn't revenge. This was the beginning of something much bigger. And if they thought I was dangerous now, they hadn't seen me partnered with silence and strategy. The Harrington family dinners were notorious. Twice a year. 5-star chefs. Cold wine. Colder glares. An evening of performative civility where every raised glass masked a buried knife. So when Damian's assistant called to say, "Mr. Harrington would like you to attend the winter dinner this Friday," I laughed. Out loud. "Tell him I'm not a Harrington," I said. The assistant didn't flinch. "Mr. Damian said to inform you that your last name was never the problem." Friday came anyway. And I went. Not for Cole. Not for the family. But because I knew walking into that dining room meant reclaiming the narrative, not just in press headlines but in their legacy. I wore a dark emerald dress with an asymmetrical neckline and no jewelry. Let the tension dress the outfit. Zara offered to go with me. I told her no. This wasn't about support. It was about power. And power, like revenge, is best worn alone. Damian greeted me at the door. "You're early," he said. "You're surprised." "No," he replied. "Just pleased." The dining room had already filled with Harringtons. Uncles, cousins, wives. People who once greeted me with fake smiles and tighter hugs. The type that measure worth in headlines and stock prices. Now they nodded stiffly. I sat between Damian and a distant aunt who wore enough perfume to kill small mammals. "Arya," she said, air-kissing the air beside my cheek. "So good to see you. We were just saying, weren't we? How elegant you looked at the gala, even with the unfortunate events." I said. "Unfortunate for some. Enlightening for others." She blinked. "Right. Of course." Cole walked in 20 minutes late. Lila wasn't with him. His eyes darted across the table and landed on the empty chair beside me. Then on me. Then quickly away. Damian leaned in. I debated not inviting him. "But you love a front row seat to failure," I murmured. He smirked. "Guilty." Dinner was roast duck, caramelized pears, and too many false smiles. The conversation turned, eventually, to the family business. "We're expanding in Dubai," one cousin boasted. "Trying to," Damian corrected. "But we need someone who understands narrative. Image. Storytelling." All eyes shifted toward me. I lifted a brow. "Why are you all looking at me like I'm dessert?" Someone chuckled awkwardly. Damian kept his eyes on his plate. "Because you're the only person here who knows how to walk out a fire without smelling like smoke." Cole stiffened. "She also knows how to light it." "I only light what deserves burning," I replied, meeting his eyes. The table went silent. Then Damian clinked his glass once. "To Arya." The others murmured agreement. I raised mine slowly. "To leaving things behind, especially the ones pretending to be irreplaceable." Cole's mother choked on her wine. After dinner, I stood in the hallway adjusting my coat. Damian appeared beside me. "Walk you to your car?" he asked. I nodded. Outside the air was cold. The kind of cold that cuts right through silk but not through certainty. "You didn't have to toast me," I said. "I wasn't toasting you," he replied. "I was warning them." I looked at him surprised. "You walked in tonight without a ring, without a name, and they still looked at you like you owned something they couldn't touch." "Because I do." He stopped beside the car. "You know, when Cole first brought you in, they thought you were a phase." "I know. They thought you'd be overwhelmed. That you'd fumble, try too hard. They didn't think you'd adapt so quickly." "I didn't adapt," I said. "I outgrew." He stared at me for a long second. "Why did you really invite me?" I asked. "I needed them to see what they lost," he said. "Not just Cole. All of them. That's a lot of ego for one dinner." I meant what I said at the table. "You don't just understand image, you are one." I tilted my head. "And what image do I give off now?" He stepped closer. "Controlled fire." His voice was low. "Taken. You should be careful," I said. "Why?" I burned back. He opened my car door. "Good night, Arya." "Good night, Damian." As I slid into the back seat, a flash went off. Paparazzi. Of course. Damian didn't flinch. Just stood by the car like a knight posing for a scandal. By morning the headlines would explode. Arya Bennett leaves Harrington family dinner, escorted by Damian Harrington. Revenge looks good in emerald. Was she the wrong brother's fiancée all along? I didn't care. Let them ask. Let them wonder. Let them finally realize. I was never the shadow in Cole's story. I was the plot twist. He waited for me in my office. Not Damian. Cole. I didn't even flinch when I saw him, leaning against my desk like it still belonged to him too. Like the 2 years we spent building his brand gave him residual ownership over my space. Nice coat, I said, closing the door behind me. Did your guilt pick it out? He straightened, arms crossing. Can we talk? We're already talking. His jaw tensed. I mean, really talk. I set my bag down slowly. You kissed her, Cole. I didn't kiss her. She kissed you. You didn't move. I was shocked. No. Shock is a blink. A flinch. You closed your eyes. I sat in my chair, cool and upright. You leaned in. He was quiet for a beat. Then, I froze. You were always good at that. He exhaled. Arya, I didn't bring her there. I didn't expect her to show up. I didn't. You didn't stop her. His eyes flicked up. I never wanted her back. Didn't look that way. She cried. So did I. Privately. Without ruining an entire night. I panicked, he said, voice cracking slightly. She said she still loved me. That she left because she thought I'd never choose her. And when she walked into that room, I don't know, I just forgot I existed? No, he snapped. I just softened. He winced. Right in front of me, I continued. You softened. I made a mistake, he said. 1 moment. 1 second. But everything before that, it was real. My fingers curled against the armrest. You think this is about a moment? He looked confused. Isn't it? This is about erosion, I said. You chipped away at me. Fully. Subtly. With every time you compared us. Every time you said she understood your silences better. Every time you made me feel like I was trying too hard to match a ghost. He looked wrecked now. I never wanted to make you feel that way. But you did. Silence. And then he stepped forward, pulling something from his pocket. A ring box. I stared at it. The velvet was dark navy. The ring inside was diamond. The one we'd picked together. You didn't give it to me that night, I said flatly. I was going to. But you gave her your attention. He held the box out. I'm giving you this now. I blinked. You're giving me a second-hand proposal? It was always yours. No, I said. Now it's just a souvenir. I stood. He didn't move. Arya. I looked him in the eye. Don't give me the ring she wore. She didn't. I don't recycle trust. And with that I turned toward the door. It opened before I could reach it. Damian. Of course. Tall, unreadable, dark suit, crisp shirt. Like timing was something he engineered. He took one look at Cole holding the box and raised a single brow. Cole stiffened. Am I interrupting? Damian asked mildly. No, I said, walking past both of them. He was just leaving. Cole looked at me. We're not done. Yes, I said, looking back over my shoulder. We are. Outside my office I didn't stop. Not until Damian matched pace beside me. He didn't say anything right away. Just walked in sync. Then casually, lunch? I stared at him. Are you always this composed? Yes. Even when your brother's groveling in your hallway? Especially then. I shook my head. Where are we going? There's a new French place downstairs. I just threw a diamond ring back at your brother. Is now really the time for duck confit? You didn't throw it, he said. You dismissed it. I smiled. Is that your subtle way of saying you were impressed? Subtlety is my second language. The restaurant was sleek and quiet. Harrington Properties only dined where their lawyers also vacationed. We slid into a corner booth. The host didn't ask questions. Neither of us spoke until the drinks arrived. Then Damian said, I didn't know he still had the ring. Neither did I. I also didn't think he'd try to use it now. He thinks it's romantic. Damian tilted his glass. It's desperate. I know. He watched me for a long moment. You didn't cry. I didn't respond. You haven't cried once. Not even when he humiliated you. I did, I said. Just not where you could see it. His expression softened, but only slightly. Would you have taken the ring back? He asked. No. He nodded. Because of pride? Because of me. When the food came we didn't talk much. But the silence wasn't empty. It was layered. Damian always made space feel like negotiation. And I wasn't sure if I was the contract or the clause. After lunch we walked toward the elevator together. "Thank you," I said finally. "For what?" "For not offering sympathy. I wouldn't dare." "I know," I smiled. The elevator doors opened. We stepped in. Just the two of us. "I'll be honest," he said as we descended. "I'd be shocked if you weren't. I thought you'd stay with him." I turned. "Why?" "Because people like you always think they can fix men like him." "And what made you change your mind?" He looked at me. "You." When the doors opened, he let me walk out first. "Arya," he said as I paused at the lobby. I looked back. "If you ever do want a ring," he said, "make sure it's one that was never meant for someone else." I nodded once, then left without looking back. 2 days after Damian walked me out of that elevator, a sleek envelope arrived at my apartment. No stamp. No courier logo. Just my name, written in neat, slanted strokes that looked suspiciously like Damian's own hand. Inside, a contract. Title: Consulting Agreement, Harrington Global Expansion Division. 3 pages. 6 digits. And at the bottom, a handwritten note. "Legacy belongs to those who know how to outlast storms. Let me know if you'd prefer to build instead of recover. D." I laughed. Out loud. And then I called him. He picked up on the second ring. "Took you longer than I expected. I was debating whether to frame it or burn it. I assumed it was the latter. I have a fireplace. Don't tempt me." "You're not calling to decline," he said confidently. I hesitated. "I'm calling to negotiate." We met in the rooftop lounge of the Harrington Plaza. Private, quiet, glass walls overlooking the city. He was already seated when I arrived, sipping espresso like a man immune to caffeine and consequence. He stood as I approached. "Arya." "Damian." I dropped the contract on the table. "Let's talk." "I'm listening." "I won't work for you." He nodded once. "Noted. I won't answer to your board, your name, or any man with an opinion about my walk." "Understood. And I don't do puppet optics." "Good," he said. "I don't hire puppets." I raised a brow. "You hire fire starters." "I hire legacies in the making." Our eyes locked. He gestured toward the seat opposite him. "Sit." I did. "Your terms," he asked. "I want full control of brand positioning. I choose the team. I oversee narrative strategy." He didn't blink. "Done." "I want equity. Already drafted. No PR stunts. I don't need them. And if Cole comes crying again, I walk." His jaw tensed only slightly. "He won't." "I'm serious." "So am I." We stared at each other for a beat too long. Then I picked up the pen he slid across the table and signed my name. Cling. Taking. Permanent. Damian leaned back. "Welcome to the war room." That evening, Zara barged into my place with a bottle of champagne and 3 different news articles. "You're trending again. Is it the dress? The ring rejection? Or my new consulting deal?" "All 3. But mostly this." She flipped her phone toward me. Headline: Harrington Brothers divide power. Arya Bennett joins Damian's expansion team. "Oh, and Lila's account?" she added, pouring champagne. "What about it?" "She just deleted 4 posts. Unfollowed Cole. And wait for it, posted a news story with a cryptic quote." I raised an eyebrow. "Let me guess. Something Shakespearean and self-victimizing." Zara read aloud. "Some people use love to climb. Others use silence to fall." With a mirror selfie. I rolled my eyes. "She's spiraling." Zara sipped. "She's exposed." The next morning, Cole showed up at the Harrington lobby. This time, security didn't let him up. And that was the clearest shift of all. He was no longer the face they protected. He was the brother they contained. Later that week, Damian and I reviewed the first global pitch deck together. Our shoulders brushed once over the laptop. He didn't pull back. Neither did I. He glanced over. "You read faster than anyone I've ever met." I skim lies quickly. "You think the deck is a lie?" "No," I said. "Just padded. Too much buzzword fluff. Not enough teeth." He smirked. "Then add teeth." By week's end, I'd restructured the entire brand rollout in 12 cities. By Monday, the board approved it, unanimously. By Tuesday, our rival firm released a copycat strategy. By Wednesday, I saw her. Lila. In the Harrington parking garage. She didn't see me at first, she was on the phone. Leaning against Cole's car. I told you, she hissed. The deal will tank if we pull now. Just wait. Let it crash. Then move. My heels clicked against the concrete. She turned, startled. Our eyes met. Her lips curled. Didn't expect to see you underground. I smiled. Didn't expect to hear you leaking strategy files. She laughed like a trained actress. Still pretending to be unbothered? No, Lila. I'm just not interested in reacting to borrowed drama. She stepped closer. You think Damian's going to save you? I don't need saving. You think you've won because of some contract? No, I said. I've won because you're nervous enough to meet people in parking garages. Her smile faltered. And that was all I needed. That night Damian called. She's been seen with investors from Beaumont and Frey, he said. Cole's shares are slipping. She's bleeding him from inside. Do you want me to step in? No, he said. I want you to finish what you started. I leaned back in my chair. Then it's time we move phase 2 forward. Agreed. He paused. You've become something else. No, I said. I've just stopped being quiet about it. At midnight, a courier delivered a single white envelope to my apartment. Inside, a photo. Me and Damian. Standing close on the rooftop lounge. Smiling. No angle of scandal, just partnership clean and effortless. But on the back of the photo, a note. She's watching. Let her. I framed the photo. Put it on my desk. And started drafting the final global proposal. Because we weren't playing defense anymore. We were building the empire. And I was writing its story. The Harrington Winter Ball had always been an over-orchestrated affair. Glittering chandeliers, strings playing Bach with manufactured perfection, and guests dressed like royalty with agendas stitched into their sleeves. I hadn't attended since Cole and I were still a wee. This year my name was on the VIP list, as a consultant, not a plus one. But this time I wasn't there to support the family. I was there to wear the silence that made them flinch. Zara arrived at my place before I left, holding a hanger draped in midnight. I had this made for you, she said, pulling the garment bag open. The dress was custom. Sculpted satin in deep indigo, slit high, neckline daring but structured. Minimal. Fierce. This, she declared, is not an outfit. It's a power move. I changed. Pinned my hair back. Applied one stroke of red across my lips. When I stepped out of the car in front of Harrington Hall, the cameras caught it. The hush before the flash. The way photographers stopped mid-call. Because I wasn't walking in like someone recovering. I was walking in like someone rewriting the script. Inside, the ballroom shimmered in gold and frost. Ice sculptures framed the drink stations. Everyone looked expensive, brittle, bored. Until they saw me. Aria Bennett, someone whispered. She came. She looks like a warning. I smiled politely at the murmurs. My heels echoed on the marble floor as I crossed the ballroom. Cole was already there, hunched in a corner with a drink in hand, his bow tie undone like a desperate attempt at looking unbothered. And beside him, her. Lila Monroe. Draped in sequins. Silver and predictable. She caught sight of me and tensed. Game on. An hour and she made her move. I was at the champagne bar when she approached, flanked by two socialites who clung to her drama like it was a designer clutch. Aria, she said sweetly. I almost didn't recognize you. That dress is bold. I turned slowly. Well, it must have worked. You recognized me from across the room. She fake laughed. So how's the consulting gig? Do you just follow Damian around and nod now? No, I said. I lead meetings while your boyfriend chokes on quarterly reports. Her lips twitched. You always were ambitious. You always were insecure. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. You think this is yours now? That you've replaced me? I stared at her. I didn't replace you, I said. You left the throne. I just built my own. Her friends looked between us, frozen. Then Lila scoffed. All this, the dress, the drama, you think this makes you powerful? No, I said calmly. This, I pointed to my name on the event program as a keynote speaker. Makes me powerful. A string of violins shifted tune, soft, sharp, familiar. The waltz began. And Damian appeared beside me, smooth as a knife unsheathed. "Hey, he asked, hand extended. Lila's jaw locked. I placed my hand in his. He led me onto the floor without saying another word. We moved in rhythm. Seamless. Effortless. Not a stumble. Not a single missed beat. People watched. Phones lifted. Cameras clicked. But neither of us looked anywhere else. Was that scene necessary? Damian murmured. Yes. Do you feel better? Strangely, yes. He smirked. Good. Because you're trending again. Already. The caption will be predictable. Something like, "The wrong brother never danced like this." I laughed softly. He spun me, a perfect glide, my dress catching light. "You're not afraid of her, are you?" he asked as we turned. "Afraid of Lila?" I scoffed. "She's a noise I already outgrew. And Cole? He's a lesson. And me?" I met his eyes. A variable. He arched a brow. Dangerous. Or just honest. The dance ended. But no one applauded. They just stared. And that silence, that was louder than any standing ovation. We walked off the floor together. Lila looked thunderstruck. Cole looked hollow. Zara was smirking by the champagne tower like she'd choreographed the whole night. As we reached the edge of the crowd, a young reporter stepped forward. "Miss Bennett," she said breathlessly, "you looked extraordinary. Who designed the dress?" I smiled. "I did." She blinked. "Truly?" "Yes," Damian added. "And the next 12 looks in our global campaign." The reporter's mouth opened. Nothing came out. I looked at her gently. "Make sure you spell it right. Arya. With power, not pity." That night, the dance clip reached 1.7 million views. Someone captioned it. "She didn't just recover. She reigned." The next morning, a new anonymous editorial ran in the Ledger. Damian Harrington danced with the Empire's future last night, and it wasn't in his brother's arms. Lila posted nothing. Cole deleted his account. And I framed the dance photo. Not because it was romantic, but because it was surgical. They underestimated the wrong woman. Now they watched me lead. He showed up again. Same suit. Different desperation. Cole was standing in front of my office door before I even made it down the hall. Staff passed him quickly, eyes dropping as if proximity to him might damage their careers by association. He looked up the second he saw me. "Arya. I have meetings," I said, not slowing. "Please. Just a second." "You used your seconds," I replied, brushing past him. He followed me in. This time I didn't tell him to leave. I let him talk. "She's gone." I looked at him. "Because she left? Or because you finally let her?" He didn't answer. "Doesn't matter," I said. "You had your chance. You spent it. I never meant for any of it to happen." "And yet," I said calmly, "it did. While you were busy waiting for the past to prove it still wanted you, I was right here, building a future." He stepped forward. I panicked. I froze. "But I never stopped loving you." I stared at him. His mouth opened. Silence. The kind that doesn't beg to be filled. The kind that ends things. Then the door opened. And Damian stepped in. He paused when he saw us, then nodded once. Cole's face went pale. "Of course." "No," Damian said smoothly. "Not of course. Just on time." Cole clenched the box tighter. "I came here to apologize." "I think she heard you," Damian said. "And I think she answered." I grabbed my notes and walked toward the door. Cole stepped into my path. "Arya, please don't do this." I looked up at him for the last time. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just refusing to undo myself for you again." Then I turned. Walked past them both. Out into the hallway. Outside, Damian caught up. Then, "Are you all right?" "I was never fragile." "I didn't ask if you were," he replied. "I asked if you're all right." I stopped walking. Looked up at him. "I think so," I said. That felt final. It was. I didn't even feel like crying. "You already did," he said. "In your own way." We stood there a second too long. Then he reached into his inner jacket pocket and handed me a small rectangular box. "What's this?" "Something I had made before you said no to him. Before the gala. Before the rooftop meeting." I blinked. Why? He shrugged. Because sometimes timing doesn't have to be reactive. I opened the box. Inside was a ring. But not a diamond. Not anything close. It was a slim band, smooth platinum, with a single embedded emerald so dark it looked black until the light touched it. On the inside a word. Sovereign. My breath hitched. You think I need reminding? I whispered. No, he said. But I think you deserve a keepsake from a story where you were the one who didn't beg. I stared at the ring. Why emerald? Because emeralds don't beg to sparkle. They just do. I closed the box. I'm not ready, I said. For that. For what it implies. I'm not asking you to be. He slipped his hands into his pockets. I'm just making sure you don't leave this chapter without a symbol that was never touched by her. I nodded slowly. Put the box in my coat pocket. And didn't return it. Later that night I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, the city humming below me. The ring stayed in my hand, glinting under moonlight. I didn't try it on. I didn't need to. Because this one wasn't about belonging to anyone. It was a reminder. That power wasn't in the sparkle. It was in the silence that followed every time I walked away without flinching. Power doesn't collapse with explosions. It unravels. One loose thread at a time. And Cole Harrington? He never learned to check the stitching. The first sign was quiet. An email leak. Then a funding delay. Then rumors, whispered at board meetings shared over drinks by junior execs, that someone inside had been moving money through shell brands, reassigning budget lines, bypassing protocol. By the end of the week those whispers had names. And those names were his. Damian sent me the file at 7:43 a.m. on a Tuesday. Subject: you'll want to see this. I opened it half awake expecting numbers. Instead I got a full summary report. A paper trail of internal fraud, offshore manipulation and redirection of shared venture capital from the Global Expansion Division. My division. Which meant they were going to come for me next. But Damian was already prepared. Lila fed him the setup, he said when I called. She used his access to plant her fingerprints on the wrong accounts. Then turned them in. Why? She needed immunity. And leverage. I rubbed my temple. She's going to paint herself as the whistleblower. She already has. I sighed. And Cole. Under internal investigation. Stripped of signing power. Legal teams circling. There was a long pause. Say it, I murmured. You want me to say I warned him? Damian replied. He wouldn't have listened. No, I said. Say you're not surprised. I'm not. The press exploded by Thursday. Harrington's son implicated in financial fraud. Internal coup imminent? Lila Monroe named key witness in embezzlement probe. Cole Harrington's collapse. Love, legacy and legal disaster. Zara forwarded me the headlines with a single emoji. Smiling face with horns. By Friday Cole tried to reach me. 6 missed calls. 3 voicemails. None of them angry. All of them pathetic. I didn't know she was using me. I never touched those files. Arya, I swear. They're going to shut me out. Can we talk? Please. I didn't answer. I wasn't cruel. I was finished. The Harrington board convened on Monday. By Tuesday Cole's office was emptied. By Wednesday the department was restructured. Under me. Technically I was still consulting. But now. Every memo came from my desk. Every signature bore my name. And the hallway that once held whispers about my broken engagement, now echoed with words like boss, strategist and don't cross her. I found Damian in the boardroom late one evening, sleeves rolled, hands resting on the back of a chair. You left him nothing, I said. I left him what he earned. Lila too. She's a liability now. Pierre will eat her in 6 months. And you? He turned. Still here. I walked over, laid the final signed report on the table. I want full creative control for the global rebrand, I said. And I want the story of his collapse to start with my elevation, not his failure. Damian didn't hesitate. You have it. That night I walked into my old apartment. The one I shared with Cole once upon a time. I hadn't been back in months. The doorman barely recognized me. Inside the place was stripped. Soulless. There were echoes where memories used to be. And on the floor near the empty bookshelf a box. Inside old photos. An unused wedding planner. My name, scribbled on envelopes he never mailed. I closed the lid gently. Left it there. Walked out without locking the door. Because some ruins aren't worth guarding. At the quarterly launch I stood beside Damian at the podium. He let me speak first. And I didn't waste the moment. I used to think legacy was inherited, I told the room. Now I know it's built. Brick by brick. Choice by choice. Loss by loss. Flashbulbs. Murmurs. Nods. I looked down at the emerald ring on my index finger. Not a proposal. Just a reminder. Damian stepped forward after. The way he looked at me, poised, unreadable, composed, made people shift in their seats. Someone whispered, "They built this together." Someone else replied, "He's not the Harrington in the headline anymore. She is." That night the press didn't talk about Cole. They talked about me. Aria Bennett, from fiancée to force. The woman who rewrote the family name. And Cole? He was last seen entering an underground parking lot, escorted by his lawyer, phone dead, future pending. No title. No power. No one waiting at the door. The launch day began not with headlines but with laughter. "Did you just reject a Vogue interview for the third time?" Damian asked, leaning against my desk, sipping espresso like it was a weapon. I looked up from my laptop. "They wanted me to pose with roses and answer questions about heartbreak. You could have just told them your favorite flower was revenge." "I already did," I said. "They thought I was joking." He grinned. "That's your problem. You say devastating things with a straight face." "Blame the dress code," I replied. "Power suits don't come with emojis." He laughed, low and genuine. "Don't ever stop talking. Surprising me." I rolled my eyes, but my smile betrayed me. Our new campaign, the rebrand of Harrington Global, was being unveiled tonight. Months of late nights, ruthless cuts, rewrites, international calls, and enough caffeine to bankrupt a chain. And we did it. Not as a couple. Not yet. But as something unmistakably close. A partnership built in ash and ambition. "You nervous?" Damian asked as we stood backstage moments before the reveal. "No," I said. "You." "I'm standing next to a woman who dismantled my brother's legacy and made me like it." "That's not an answer." He looked at me, then leaned close just enough that his breath touched my ear. Terrified. I turned to him surprised. But he was smiling. Not the public one. The private one. The one he only used with me. "You'll be fine," I whispered. "I know. You're here." The lights dimmed. The screens lit up. And the new logo, sleek, modern, radiant, bloomed across the massive backdrop. Harrington Global. Rewritten by vision. Led by clarity. They didn't mention Cole. They didn't need to. His absence said everything. And my presence? That spoke volumes. After the applause, after the press, after the staged photos and sleek handshakes, Damian and I stepped into the quiet of the rooftop lounge. Same place where he'd once handed me a contract and dared me to be more than just a recovery story. Tonight, it was lit with low gold lanterns, the city glittering beneath us. He poured us wine without asking. He always remembered. "Did you expect any of this?" I asked. "No," he said. "I expected you to torch the building and walk away." I laughed. "You underestimated me." "I did," he said. "Once. And now. Now I watch you light up rooms that don't deserve you." I sipped my wine. "You sound like you're about to propose," I teased. "God no," he deadpanned. "Then I'd have to compete with a recycled diamond." I choked on my sip. "Damian." He raised a brow. "Too soon. Possibly ever." We both laughed. The kind of laugh that doesn't need an audience. The kind that only happens after ruin. When the ruins stop feeling sharp and start feeling like soil. He grew quiet then. I turned to look at him. "I never liked sharing," he said, eyes on the skyline. "Neither did I. Watching you with Cole, watching him dim you, was like watching someone try to cage thunder." "I let him," I admitted. "No," Damian said. "You trusted him. That's different." The silence between us softened. No longer strategic. Just real. He stepped in front of me. Held out his hand. "No press. No cameras. Just us," he said. "Dance." There was no music. Just wind. But I nodded. We moved slowly. No steps to follow. Just motion. At one point I rested my head briefly on his shoulder. He didn't flinch. Instead he whispered, "You know, I never wanted to steal anything from Cole." I looked up. "But you," he said. "You weren't his. He just borrowed you until you remembered who you were." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. He already knew. The next morning, a journalist cornered me outside the new global office. "Miss Bennett," she called breathlessly. "With Cole officially out and your relationship with Damian being, well, speculated, are you open to reconciliation? Forgiveness?" I paused. Then smiled. "Forgiveness is a luxury," I said. "I'm investing in legacy now." Flash. 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 She blinked. "So, you wouldn't go back?" I looked her dead in the eye. "He didn't forget me," I said. "He just assumed I'd wait." "And you didn't?" I smiled again. "No." I walked back upstairs. Damian was waiting in my office. "Another quote trending?" he asked, holding coffee. "Apparently I'm savage now." "I've always said you were." He handed me the cup. I took a sip, then looked at him. "You think we're predictable now?" I asked. "No." "Then what are we?" He leaned against the desk, eyes unreadable. "Unfinished," he said. "And terrifyingly good at it." I grinned. "Good," I said. "I hate neat endings." "Then here's a messy one," he said. He leaned down. Kissed me. Slow. Steady. Unapologetic. And I kissed him back. Because the world already feared me. It was time they envied me too. The end.